Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back. You can see today I have a smile on my face. It's not easy. We are still in the thick of the rawness of the grief, the very newness of it. And again, I may cry during the making of this video. I'll try not to. I have had many, many tears lately. I can actually feel, you can actually feel that you've been crying a lot. I went to my hairdresser yesterday, not because I wanted a frivolous day. I'd had the appointment booked, and there's no reason not to carry on with life. There was nothing pressing. So, and it was nice. It was a nice moment of not dealing with grief and loss and all the extra work and admin when a life ends and everyone else is left to pick up the pieces and wrap things up. And obviously it's a loss like this. And just for those of you who are new here, if you don't know the loss I'm talking about, my son's father was tragically killed. So it was a sudden and unexpected loss. Anyway, that was last week, a week today, actually. Well, it would be a week to the time at 9 o'clock tonight. So anyway, let me just focus on what I have to say. So it's hard to sit down and make another video, but this is what I do. I still have a channel. I still love my channel. I love the connection I'm building with you guys. And I know if it were me watching a YouTuber that I enjoy, I would want to check in and know that they are doing okay. And I do feel that you guys have, and there goes the lawnmower. I don't know if you guys can hear the lawnmower, so maybe I should just talk through it. If it gets too loud, I will stop. You guys have carried me and my channel, and so I owe you. I owe you videos. I don't know what else to say. I owe you videos. This has been the hardest time. I think this morning was the first morning I didn't wake up and cry, which might make me cry just saying that, since the day we got the news. Because every morning I wake up before my son, and it's the only real quiet time my partner and I have to talk. And then I will share something about how I'm feeling about my son and him processing his grief. And as I share, I start bawling. And I know that this burden is heavy on my partner as well, because here's me and my son. We live with my partner, and we are grieving the loss of a man that is my ex. So how would that feel? I often stop to think, how would I feel if his ex-wife died and he were crying every day? Even if he were crying on behalf of his son and the loss his son was going through, I think I would feel it would start taking its toll. Not to say that my grief is not valid. It is. It's very difficult. It's tough when you're grieving somebody that you are not with. I mean, we're divorced. But like one of you said, one of you wrote me a comment and said, your exes, the parents to children that you share, baby mamas, baby daddies, they are your forever family. This man was my forever family, because forever we would be tied through our child. There is forever a family tie. And so even though the relationship didn't work out where we could be together, I knew forever and a day onwards we would be linked in this very precious way of the bond of a child. And so it makes for a complicated grieving. It really does. It complicates the grieving process, because a part of me feels, am I allowed to grieve? And then I think, yes, I am, but we weren't together. I mean, obviously we had our issues. Otherwise I would have been there still with him. So there was obviously tension, and we didn't see eye to eye, which is the best way to describe it. We did not see eye to eye, but I think we knew each other well enough to agree to disagree. We knew each other's intentions. We both agreed, and this is the one thing we never disagreed on. We both agreed on wanting the best for our child. So I'm going to get emotional now. Oh, of course we did, even though maybe our methods were different. We both agreed on loving our child. We both agreed Well, we agreed on that, and that is the most important thing to agree on. And neither of us are more right or wrong than the other, but we each saw the world differently. So it makes the grieving process a mixed bag of, am I allowed to? But I definitely am allowed to on behalf of my son, because I can feel this little boy's pain. And at this point in time, for the last few days, he has been seemingly very strong, seemingly very stoic, which is kind of heartbreaking. It's kind of, I don't know if I'm worried or not. This one encompasses what I think this will mean for my son. There are losses that rearrange the world, deaths that change the way you see everything, grief that tears everything down. Megan Devine. You know, I know we all grieve differently. And when my dad passed, I had many days where I was numb. I was in shock and denial. So, you know, you also can't force a youngster to cry. You can't say, come on now, we need to sit and cry. You know, you can't do that. Yesterday, I think emotions have been running high. We're both exhausted, and we had a little bit of tension between us over homework, which was not, that wasn't the real point of the tension, but we had a little spat. And in times of grief and sorrow, I will hold you and rock you and take your grief and make it my own. When you cry, I cry, and when you hurt, I hurt. And together we will try to hold back the floods to tears and despair and make it through the potholed street of life. Nicholas Sparks. It's beautiful. I thought of my son when I read that one. Yeah, so it's not easy. Let's put it that way. It's not easy. Grieving feels heavy. Heavy. There's a heaviness to everything. There's this heavy weight to every motion, every action, everything I say and do. I feel the weight of the loss, and the loss ripples out to everyone. But we are getting through it one day at a time. Yesterday, when I went to my hair appointment, it's surreal, because you go there and you think, this seems so frivolous, and yet it's part of life, and I'm alive, and I'm still here. So I must go. I mean, what is the point of canceling and what is the point? I may as well go. And I needed the time out. I needed the break to just sit there and be as normal as possible. My hairdresser is not involved. She doesn't know my ex, my son. You know, she actually is far away. It's a far drive. I remember yesterday thinking, you know, is it even right of me to take this time out and drive and go and sit there for 3 hours and have the pretty blonde in my hair? And I thought, I do need a moment. And it did help in some small way. It helped. But I remember as I was driving, I took a photo of it. I'll share here now. I looked at the skin on my hands, on the back of my hands, and I thought, wow, that's looking crepey. It's looking crepey. And then I thought, but I'm so lucky to be alive. I'm lucky to be the parent that gets to be here. I'm so lucky to be the parent that is still with my child. And it's, you know, I always had this vision of me and my ex at my son's school graduation. So here in South Africa, we call it matric. You guys would call it high school graduation. I always had this vision of us standing awkwardly together, because we're not together, but together for our son, maybe with our partners, standing there and just acknowledging what we had created, this boy, this beautiful boy who has graduated. And we will never do that, you know. That's where the forever family thing comes in. It's funny how the rain comes on a day like today, when the tears flow and the heavens have opened as well. And so, I've got a tissue now. And so, just like when we divorced, you grieve the loss of the future you thought you were going to have with this person. Right now, I'm grieving the loss of a future I thought I would have with this person. I thought we would be at all these events, not together, but together. I thought we would be at his graduation, maybe at his wedding, maybe when he got his first job, his first car, dealing with these things. And now it's me, the sole parent. So I find I'm dealing with, I don't know what the word is for this feeling, but I'm heightened. My heightened sense of I need to stay alive. I need to stay alive for my son because now he has one parent. I don't know if there's a word for that feeling, and I don't know if any of you have felt that. I just want to take the time out to say to you guys who did leave me comments describing how you too had lost a parent and your children were maybe teenagers as well. It actually really helps to hear other stories, to just know that other people have survived the exact same loss, other teenagers, particularly for me to hear that there are other teenagers in the world who've lost a parent and are okay. Not the same, never the same, but okay. At the end of it, they came out okay. I need stories like that right now. And this is the power of stories. And this is what I've realized with YouTube, where I'm going to go with my channel. It's me just doing weight loss. You guys know I've always felt like it's a bit superficial. I've always felt like I may have the knowledge from competing and I have an interest in that sort of field of fitness and health and weight loss, but it is so not what's important. And this kind of event just highlighted that. Whether you are 10 kgs, 20 kgs, 10 pounds, 20 pounds, 30 pounds overweight, yes, you may want to lose the weight, but that is so not what is important to your life being well lived. So I do feel that obviously I'll always touch on weight and weight loss, but I think my channel is going to move more into I'm just sharing my life here on YouTube. And I always thought, well, who's going to want to listen to me just sharing my life? But I like channels like that. And I'm sure that if I share my life in the correct way with dignity and grace, not pulling in people that are in my life, but sharing my experience of my life, even if I may touch upon talking about those people, it will be helpful to someone who's going through that same thing. So right now I'm going through grief. My videos may help some of you who are going through some loss or grief of your own. And it could be loss of a house, loss of a pet, loss of a job. Grief is grief. Sure, loss of a very close person is, I think, the biggest loss of all. My hairdresser was telling me the very touchingly sad tale of her boss who lost his son. The son was 30 years old, an adult child. But of course, the worst loss is, I think, the loss of a child, when a parent loses a child, because it's not the natural order of things. And now I'm starting to really understand there is this natural order of things that we expect. We expect to grow old and then die. We expect our parents to go before we do. We expect our children to outlive us. Yogi, these are the things we expect. So when the loss of a life is sudden and tragic, as it was in our case now, it shakes you to your core. It's shaken me to my core more than my dad's death, because my dad was 72. Even though he was fit and healthy, he was so depressed and on so much medication that when I heard the news, and I was actually with my ex-husband at the time, we were trying again. We both said, your dad's at peace now, my dad's at peace. We were both, I felt a sense of relief for my father that he was now no longer in turmoil in his mind, because my dad was in such a depressed, turmoiled state at the time of his death that I felt his relief for him. So, and like I said, I was an adult and he was 72, still too young. It wasn't his time, but it also almost was. Like his soul, I think, was ready to go, if you believe in a soul. And here's the sad thing, is that my son is now asking questions. He says to me the other night, have I smudged my makeup, by the way? He says to me the other night, as I was putting him to bed, he says, when people say that your dad's always watching you and is always with you, he says, do they mean always? Like, that's kind of creepy. And now come the questions of, where do we go when we go? And God's honest truth is, I don't know. I don't know. And Mom, I know you think you know. My mother and I have this debate all the time. She fully, strongly believes in life after death. And I love the belief and I love the thought and I want to believe it. But I cannot tell my son for sure that that is for sure because I don't know for sure. So like I say to my son, it's a beautiful thought. And you can see why people want to believe in an afterlife. They want to believe that the soul or the spirit or the essence of the person persists. I cannot say for sure what happens. I don't know. So right now my son has a very scientific mind. He's a teenager and he wants to believe in science and the hard facts, And so he says, it's just electrical impulses and signals in your brain, all the neurons firing. And when that all goes, that's it. And my son even says, I said, but what about the essence, the thing that makes you you, your kindness, your personality, your warmth, your loudness, your boldness, the character traits. I said, surely in some form or way, the energy that animated that person must carry on. And my son says, no, maybe when it's like just switches off. And again, I don't know. I cannot tell him yes or no. I don't have the answer. So I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that. This is the great mystery of life. It's the great mystery that we think we know. Mystics have pondered this. There are a million near-death experience stories. And yet, where is the irrefutable proof? There isn't. And so I can only feel my way through. And I can just tell my son what people think, what humans believe, share with him all the options, and let him feel his way through it too. So it's interesting because I had the same, like when my father passed, I'm like, but where did he go? Where is he? I viewed the body, I identified the body. And when I looked at that corpse body, I said, that's not him. He's not there. It was him, but not him. He was not there. And immediately I knew that. I took one, he's not there. So we are not our bodies. And I think that's why and where my resistance to only talking about weight loss comes. We are not this body. This body is just a shell, a suit. I see it like it's clothing for earth. So if I'm not this body, what am I, Big, big questions. And these are big questions for a little 15-year-old boy. And I would think these things when I was 16, but to have it so brought home, crystallized, real, it's really tough. I also wanted to share with you guys how Yogi's doing and the new dog that we've taken over. He's integrating into the family, so he's blended really well with the husky, the new dog. We have to keep them separate from Yogi because Yogi is learning to walk. I'm doing all kinds of rehab on Yogi, but can you walk here? Okay, look at Yogi walking he'll come for chicken. Come, boy, come. He's trying. Good boy. Good boy. There's a piece of chicken for you. Good boy. Good boy. Let's see. Come for more chicken. See if you can walk again. Oh, see, then he flops down. Come. Yogi, come for chicken. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Will work for food. Good news. No. So he can take about 5-6 steps, especially when he's excited or if he thinks the other dogs are nearby, or when I put him out in the garden, he actually can. He's not great at it. He does fall over, but I took him for a rehab session, physio session on Monday, which was great, and she explained a whole lot of things. So we introduced the new dog that we took, my ex's dog, which was actually my dog. I got the dog. And so it's funny how things come full circle. I raised that dog as a puppy, this American Staffy. His name is Nitro. In fact, my son picked the name, I think. I think it was my son who picked the name. And now we've got this dog. It's like, I never thought, you never expect the unexpected. But here we have this dog. And how we introduced the American Staffy to the Husky was that we took them for a walk together, because we were trying to do the introducing both of them on their leashes, and then you know how dogs start to get snappy. And I suddenly remembered, I said, wait. I watched a Cesar Millan show years ago where he said the way to introduce dogs is to walk them side by side. And we did it. And after the walk, well, my partner walked them both, and they came back best friends. So there's a tip if you are introducing two dogs. Try not to let them have a face-to-face, because they will get confrontational. Don't do it through a fence or a gate, even though that's what we think we should do, because dogs are funny. They think something on the other side of a fence or a gate is an enemy. Walk them side by side, and because then you can walk them further apart or you can walk them close. And you can do it for as long as you need to, every day, for as long as it takes. And then they can come closer and then they can move apart. So thank goodness I remembered that. Thank goodness. And the Husky and the American Staffy have been best buds since that day, which is wonderful. And so out of the grief comes this new joy, this dog that's coming into our lives. And the Husky is so happy. You know, she was with another old Husky who passed away last year. And she has seemed a bit, not down, but just more, maybe down is the word. And she seems far more full of life now that she has a pelt. So there's something as well. The last thing I wanted to mention is, as I was going to my hair appointment yesterday, obviously carrying all these big feelings, I've been listening to YouTube. I found a lovely channel called Little Poet. You might have heard her, seen her. And she was talking about, can we ever feel safe living alone as a woman, which is such a pertinent, triggering, on-point topic for South Africa, because South Africa has such a high crime rate. It is one of the reasons I'm terrified to live alone, even though I did. The one time I lived alone when I was 25, 26, I had a new job. I moved into a granny flat that was attached to a house, and I got broken into, and it was traumatic and terrifying. Luckily, no one got hurt, nothing was taken. But I quickly, I got out of that lease and I moved back in with my dad because I was too afraid to live alone. Anyway, so that was the theme of her video. And then I pulled up to the garage because I needed petrol. And here in South Africa, we don't fill our own cars. We have petrol attendants. 99.9% of petrol attendants are men. And here was this woman, and she came up to help me, wearing beautiful bright red lipstick. And I just thought, you know, immediately I felt safer and at ease, woman to woman, because as a female in South Africa, you are always vulnerable when you stop your car, get out your car, roll down your window. Not at a garage. Generally, a petrol garage there's enough people and there's enough life going on, but you never know, you never know. I was listening to that video, and there was a female petrol attendant, and the feeling of safety that I got and trust, there's something about women with women. We always feel safe. And I don't know if you guys can relate to this, but do you remember Hannah Gatsby? She did a special on Netflix. And at the end, she was talking about how men don't understand the fear that women have of men. And she said, and if you don't get it, ask any woman how she would feel if she were the only woman in a room full of men. And as she said that, I felt the terror. I thought, if I were the only woman in a room full of men, I would be terrified, absolutely terrified. And let's be honest, most, not all, but most violent crimes are committed by men. Most cases of domestic abuse, it's the man against the woman. There are exceptions. I know this. I know. Women can be violent too. Women can be abusive and hurtful and cruel. But in general, the violence is perpetrated by men on their partners and on other men. And I've got nothing against men. There are many wonderful men in the world, so don't get me wrong there either. But it was just something that I thought of, and I thought, I don't know, just dealing with the tragic and sudden loss of my ex and the way he went, thinking about safety, thinking about, would I ever live alone as a woman? I don't know. I did with my son until we moved in with my partner, but I was in a complex and there was security and neighbors right there. But again, you always have to consider this as a woman. Also, can you fix things in your house? And are you vulnerable when repair people come into your home if you are a woman alone? Driving home, coming into your apartment or house at night alone. So I don't have an answer for that, but I just thought it's such a valid topic that, and it doesn't really fit with what I'm saying today, but because today we are still in the fresh, that rawness of grief, but it is still something on my mind. And lastly, I want to end off with saying how I feel like I look so much older right now with the grief, but I know we'll get through it. And if you are going through something tough, just know that it does pass. It does pass. I know that. I know that because I went through it. My dad, the passing of my father. I think when we lose somebody very much in our circle, that is the toughest loss. You know, as I've said in my last video, losing a grandparent, it's hard, but it's almost the natural order. You almost expect it. And often they are not. Sometimes they are, but often they are not in your immediate daily life. Losing someone close it shatters everything you think. So that's where we're at. It is quite funny how today is raining. As you can see, the raindrops on the window pane. And it is a day that I woke up not crying, but it is a day that I'm actually racked with the most grief out of all the days. Maybe it's because today is the day of the cremation. Maybe it's because today is a day where I've had some time alone. Maybe it's because today is a week exactly. I don't know. Some people believe in 7-day cycles. And it's so funny. I never thought that this grief would feel like this. You think you're divorced, you're not together, you know, and the force of the bond has hit me. When you create a life with someone, they are always in your life. And even though we were very different in many ways, I'd imagined we would both be old with a grown-up child that we shared. And that future vision is gone. I imagined us old and grey and wrinkly, looking back and laughing and saying, you know, didn't work out for us, but damn, we did a good job with this kid. And that future is gone. Ripped apart and gone. And I think that is the hardest part, is when it's so final. It is just, that is it. It is over. Game over. And it seems so unfair. I used to think that I wanted to go quickly. I always said that. Just wanted to be over quick. I'm changing my mind on that. I'm starting to think that a long illness might be kinder to those around you, because it gives everyone time to prepare. It gives people time to say goodbye. And when you go, people say it was right for her or him. They were suffering. They were ready to go. In this circumstance, I could never say that he was ready to go. It just seems wrong and unfair. And it's really hard to bear. I love you all. Thank you to each and every one of you for leaving a comment. I have read every comment. I do read every comment. I continue to read, value, and cherish every comment. I couldn't and didn't want to take the time to reply to every single one. I have replied to one or two of you. Every comment has warmed my heart and boosted me in some small way. So thank you, and I will see you guys in the next video, and lots of love to you. Bye.